This TFMR podcast is brought to you by your friends at JM Bullion. Visit jmbullion.com for all your gold and silver bullion needs. Hello again from TF Metals Report, and welcome to your podcast highlights for the week of September the 11th, 2023. Again, these are just small samples of some of what we discussed each day at TF Metals Report in our daily podcast. Daily podcast, just one of the benefits you get from being a member at TF Metals Report. It's only $15 a month. And if you sign up this month and use the coupon code GOLD, G-O-L-D, your first month will be able to cost you a whopping $5, $5. Cheaper than a Big Mac. You might learn something too. If you stick around, hey, you'll go up to $15, the regular rate, after your first month. But hey, check us out. $5 for a month. See what happens at TF Metals Report and see if it's valuable to you. As the week began on Monday the 11th, I was actually out of the office, which maybe that was a good thing. Silver was up 21 cents that day, breaking a 7-day losing streak. Was it a sign that maybe things were turning and getting better? Well, perhaps, but we're going to have to keep watching the dollar index. That was one of the charts we discussed on Tuesday. Doesn't look like it wants to go down from here, and that may cause some pressure in the metals. Well, we'll see about that. Again, this is just one of the charts we discussed on Tuesday the 12th. Finally, here's what I want you to watch. And again, we've probably said this last couple weeks in a row, and after 8 straight green candles on the weekly chart in the dollar, of course we're watching it. It's been inflicting a lot of pain. But this is the level, this 104.50. As you can see, back in March, went up to 104.50 and then down. In May and early June, went up to 104.50 and then down. Well, it blasted through 104.50 last week. And now, yesterday, and again today, holding 104.50 as support. This is a level to watch, brother. We get whatever the reaction is to the CPI tomorrow. Either it blasts now through 105 on its ultimate move to 106, or if we lose 104.50, maybe things will start going our way. Watch 104.50 in that spot/cash dollar index tomorrow. Wednesday the 13th was a pretty quiet day in the metals, and so in our daily podcast, it gave us the opportunity to look at a few other items that have been catching my eye lately. Do you know orange juice, cattle, sugar, all commodities that are making either new all-time highs or multi-decade highs? Not sure if that's just anecdotal or if it's a sign of a new bull market in commodities. We'll just have to see. But some of the other charts we looked at that day were some of the mining shares that I own. I have owned Franco-Nevada since November of 2015. Have never sold it. And it has performed really well. Better than almost all the other mining shares. There's real value in royalty companies and having them in your portfolio. And that chart of Franco-Nevada was one that we discussed on Wednesday the 13th. Then, of course, there's Franco-Nevada. I wish I could go back to 2015 when I got my little retirement plan distribution and I bought some mining shares. Wish I would have just bought Franco-Nevada. Back then it was, 45. It's now 145, basically. Tripled. That's a pretty good deal. Anyway, you can see again, there's a quadruple top on the chart of Franco-Nevada. It's clearly going down from here. I don't know. When it breaks out, it's probably going to do quite well. And now compare that Franco-Nevada chart, royalty company versus a company like Agnico Eagle actually gets it out of the ground. Sure makes you feel like those royalty companies maybe are better for long-term capital appreciation. Again, it's never just about the metals and trading at TF Metals Report. If you're going to follow gold, you got to follow everything. And I don't know if you've noticed, but the price of crude oil has been on a tear over the last couple of months, bottoming out below $70 a barrel, but on Thursday the 14th, reaching over $90 a barrel. Now, that has some dramatic implications, and it may not be done yet. You know, the U.S. provided extra supply by draining half of its strategic petroleum reserve over the last year and a half. But now that's over, and the U.S. is actually in the market on the demand side. So could we be looking at triple-digit crude oil again soon? And if that happens, what does that do to inflation? What does that do to the U.S. consumer? How does that impact what the Fed does? Well, those are all things to consider. But take a look at these charts of crude oil and then decide for yourself if you think prices are going higher or going lower in the weeks ahead. All right, here's your crude chart. Thought I'd leave the 200-day moving average on here as well. Notice it just banging up against, banging up against, banging up against, banging up against. Now, this is just the current November contract, okay? Nonetheless, getting above, getting all the way to 84, pulling back to 78 as recently as, about the time of that BRICS summit. And now here it is, almost 20% higher and north of 90. And crude on the weekly chart, thought I would give you the 200-week moving average. Go all the way back to January 21. It spent the whole month trying to get above it. Has been above it ever since. And look at the support. March, 1st of May, all through June and July, right at that 200-week and now soaring. Resistance is 95. Why wouldn't you think it's going to get there? It was 85 2 weeks ago. And now it's north of 90. Get above 95, and we start looking at triple-digit crude again. Look out. Look out. And on Friday, September the 15th, hey, look at that. We're going to close the week with some green candles as I record this. COMEX silver is actually up about 50 cents and up about 1.5% on the week. A green weekly candle will take it all week at TFMR. We've been waiting and watching for support to develop again, somewhere between about 2260 and 2280, as you can see on this chart. Price did indeed come down on Thursday morning to about 2255, and from there it has since rallied almost a full dollar. Again, now, as you can see on this chart, the last two times price came down into this region, it set off a short covering spike rally all the way up to the trend line that reaches back to May the 5th. Could we be on the verge of doing that again? Well, maybe. A lot of that will depend upon the reaction to the FOMC next Wednesday and Powell's press conference. How will the dollar index react? How will the bond market react? That remains to be seen. But for now, at least, we're going to finish the week up and with a green weekly candle after finding support again from that region just below $23. That's a good sign. Thank you for listening to the TF Metals Report podcast highlights. We'll have another one of these shows for you next week. For now, have a great weekend.